My name is Mark, and today we're going to be doing some drawing-related exercises that are focused on wellness. And there's three topics I want to touch on today. I'd love to introduce you to a lot, so it's going to be a little action-packed drawing for us today. But the three topics I want to touch on are breathing, seeing, and journaling. So to begin with, I think um, you know, every wellness conversation can get to the topic of breathing pretty quickly. So that's what we're gonna get started with first. For that, all you need is any type of paper. I'm using 8.5 by 11 printer paper. Any pen or pencil will work for this. It could be a crayon even. So whatever you have handy will work for this exercise. I'm going to jump right into it. The topic of breathing and meditation can be pretty broad. To get started with, I'm going to provide next to none direction about how to breathe. It's part of, I think you'll see as we move through the exercise, how this will provide a bit of a snapshot about where we're at today at this moment and how we're breathing. So I'm going to switch to my over the shoulder camera. All right, so I hope everybody can see my piece of paper now. I have my paper on a horizontal orientation, landscape orientation, and that's just to give us some room. So what I'd like to do is jump into a short meditation of a few minutes. And what we're going to do is we're going to start at the top of our page, and we're going to inhale. And then as we exhale, we're going to draw a line down, and we're going to follow it to the end of our exhalation. And so go ahead and get started drawing. I'm going to be talking my way through the first few portions of this, so it's a little not totally accurate, but so I get to the bottom of my exhalation, and then I inhale. And when I get to the top, I exhale. And then we're just going to repeat that for a few minutes. And I'd note there's two ways you can approach this. One is just follow your breath naturally, wherever it starts and ends, just you can totally do that. But if you want to, you can also use the tip of your pen or pencil and then the line to sort of draw your breath out farther and try taking a deeper breath and sort of allow that line to see how far you can, inhale and exhale. So you can kind of shift back and forth between making use of the line to extend your inhalation or exhalation, or just follow it naturally. So I'm going to stop talking now, and we'll continue for a few more minutes. All righty, so I'm going to end there. So now we have this little snapshot of where our breath was, kind of a EKG graph. Um, I think it's nice with these sketches to go ahead. I'm going to date this May 24, breathing. You know, I think it's fun to give sketches kind of the same, you know, the same way you might take a photograph. Is this is a little snapshot of where we are today with our breath. So that's our first exercise for today with breathing. I'm going to, let's see. All right, so we have our breath. Now, the next thing I want to share with you is the topic of seeing, which for me relates closely to mindfulness and how we go about being in the present moment. In the case of drawing, something I found a challenge for myself is my mind's tendency to abbreviate information and to sort of kind of catalog the world around me. And in a sense, I start to maybe not look as closely towards it. I recently came across a great article that was titled, "The Map is Not the Territory." And in that article, there was a quote that maps are reductions of what they represent. And there's a lot of ways this happens with drawing. So say, for example, you know, we might all recognize this as a sun, or we might all see a happy face. But as wonderful as communication tools they are all sort of a shorthand of what's, you know, what a smiling person really looks like, or what the sun's doing outside today. So we want to really see how can we focus on that scene aspect. So to do that, we're going to use a type of drawing called contour drawing. So I'll shift back over to the over shoulder. There is a rule with contour drawing. For contour drawing, I'm going to use these pair of scissors as an example. When you place your pen or pencil on the paper, in contour drawing, you're not allowed to pick it back up. So you just start to follow the contours around the pen, kind of like you're an insect or an ant walking around the surface of your object. And you just continue along, following the edges. And it's okay if you have a line, if you need to like cross over to get to another point, you can just cross across a line. So that's contour drawing, and that's how we'll be proceeding with this exercise. For everybody, what I'd like you to do is, I'm going to make a fist. And so everybody, if you could make a fist with one of your non-drawing hand. And along with contour drawing, we're going to add another aspect to this. And that is that I want you to look at your hand, but not look at your paper as you draw, which I know sounds kind of crazy, but what we want to do in this exercise is really focus on the scene and less on what's happening on the paper. So to begin with, we're only going to do this for 2 minutes. And if you have some questions, go ahead and, you know, watch what I'm doing to start. But I'm definitely, and I can even, I'll show you really quick. So I'm going to have my hand over here and my drawing hand here. So I don't want to see the paper. So that's how we're going to progress as we start this exercise. So I've started a 2-minute timer. And now I'm looking at my fist and I just want to really try to see it. I'm going to follow around all the edges. Maybe I'll explore some of the wrinkles or the knuckles or the nails of my fist. And I'm not concerned by what's actually happening on the paper. And this is a great way to kind of also bypass some of the negative thoughts we might have about how good we draw. We just want to see and take as good look as we can without being concerned about the actual drawing. And I like to think this is sort of like a wake-up call for your eyes. And we're kind of trying to challenge how our mind may want to dictate how we draw by just focusing on the scene. So I'm just continuing along, and it's totally okay if this ends up in a big pile of spaghetti noodles. It's absolutely fine. Just keep progressing, following all the little contours of your hand. Kind of pretend you're like a scientist or an explorer looking at a hand for the first time and really wanting to see it. All right, so that brings us to the end. And there's my contour drawing hand without looking at it, which, we have stuff going all over the place, but that's what's fun about this. It's an opportunity to really see. And I think, I'd invite you, go outside and draw a flower. If your cat is sleeping, draw your cat, maybe an old shed or car, but try exploring it in this manner. To take this a step farther, what we're going to do is we are going to take another 2 minutes. And this time we're going to do the same drawing, but we're going to look at the paper. So we're going to try and see, did we learn anything from this first experience? So I'm going to start another 2-minute timer. And now, again, using contour drawing and not picking up my pen or pencil, I just want to start to do that same kind of exploration of the surface of my hand, but this time allowing myself to look back and forth between the paper and my subject. Contour drawing is really great because you can't erase and you can't you have to live with every line you make, which is sort of an interesting way to, for example, if I work in Photoshop, I have an incredible amount of freedom, but it doesn't really mean that the artwork will be any better. And sometimes by having less freedom, I end up with more surprises than I would expect. So having the limitations of drawing in this way, I'm actually always really surprised how what happens in a way that's unexpected and provides some new information. All right. So that brings us to the close of our exercise in seeing. So now, we've really had a good opportunity to take a look at a subject without without going straight to sort of those abbreviated ideas about, what a hand is in this case. All righty. So there was a lot I wanted to cover today. So thanks everybody for sticking with me as we come to this last topic, which is a journaling conversation. To do this exercise, I asked that everybody have a selfie of themselves. And so I have a selfie from today on my tablet. And it's nice if it came from today, and it's very okay if, like, if you're grumpy or if you're anxious, or your photo, it's just for you, and it's meant to represent where you are at today. And so to begin this exercise, I actually need an extra piece of paper, so I'm going to grab that really quick. To begin this exercise, we are going to look at our photo of ourselves, and we're going to draw it in the same way as we drew that first hand. So we're just going to take a minute or two, and we're going to do a self-portrait of ourselves, but we're going to look at our face where we're at today, and we're going to do a quick sketch of that. So I'm going to switch again to the over the shoulder. And this can be very quick. Um, so to get started, we're just going to do a really short drawing. Go ahead, look at your portrait, not looking at your paper, and then let's just take a few minutes to sketch who we are today. Again, kind of pretend like you're an ant walking across the surface of your face. And if you want to do this exercise on an ongoing, as an ongoing form of sketching, you can really accomplish this in a lot of different ways. I like they call it blind contour drawing, just because I don't participate in sort of that conversation about how good I am at drawing a portrait of myself. So by not looking at myself, I get to do a sketch, but not participate in that inner dialogue, and just take a good look at who I am today. Again, you'll end up with lines going all over the place, but that's totally okay. All right, so I'm gonna stop there. So kind of a mismatch, not quite what's happening there, but I think, you know, it's fun just to take a quick moment and sort of take just a really close look at who I am today, how I'm feeling today. And if you want to, you can totally embellish it a little bit more, add some extras, just to kind of make it fun. Anyway, so this is part one of this exercise. What I'd like you to do now is think of anything that sort of represents where you're at today. Um, uh, you know, it can be anything at all. It could be maybe a dream you had last night. It could be some work you have ahead of you. But just sort of, is there a one-line sentence that describes, you know, what it is you're tackling with today? So I'm going to think about that. And let's see. Let's see. Today, I'm going to switch pens. I'm thrilled to be able to share these exercises. So I'm thrilled to be able to share these exercises today. So this sentence, it can be whatever you want. It's totally personal, up to you. Now, to expand on this, what I'm going to start to do is just add anything else that's on my mind today. They could be to-do list. They could be an emotion that you can't quite clarify. It could be, I don't know, for example, I just finished reading a book called 4,000 Weeks. And there was a quote I keep thinking about. And so I'm going to do this in a kind of a mind map style of layout around my portrait. But the quote in the book was, choose curiosity over worry, which I thought was really nice. So I'm just going to start to populate this mind map of where I'm at today around my portrait in whatever way is important for you or is helpful. I'd note that, you know, I'm going to keep, as I share this with you, I'm going to keep my topics pretty pretty tame, or not, I won't delve into too much personal information, but this can really be whatever it needs to be for you today, or if you do it again tomorrow, whatever it needs to be for you tomorrow. So let's see. My youngest daughter is starting trombone lessons. And so we've had a lot of trombone noises in the house lately. And that's Tula. Let's see. I've been participating in a personal experiment to try and have the best sleep I can. So good sleep has been a topic in my life this last couple weeks, and I'm benefiting tremendously for it. Let's see, I'll say good idea, Mark. So, and as I talk through these aren't intended to, dictate what it is you need to be thinking about or writing down. They're just ideas. I found to keep good sleep, I really have to have a structure. So a structure is important. And then we just keep going. I would note too, like if you find you make two notes, like for example, if maybe I'll make a note that doing a daily planner has been helpful for structure. So I've realized that, and then I'm like, oh, that's helped my sleep. So maybe I'll, make a line over there and connect the dots on that. I mentioned if you have a thought that you just can't place, maybe today I feel anxious. It's nice, just make a note. You don't have to explain it or figure out why just yet. I've found these are great to sort of leave around my desk. And so maybe around lunchtime, I'm like, oh yeah, there was that conversation I had with a neighbor, and afterwards I felt anxious. So you can, fill in the dots. It doesn't have to happen all at the same time. I didn't have an anxious conversation with a neighbor. I just made that up. So anyways, but it might have been, could have gone that direction. And then just continue to add if you want. This could actually be like a very specific to-do list. So maybe up here, we're currently fixing up our front yard. So I have a bunch of to-dos for that. So we're finishing the front yard. And now maybe I just have some notes about that. So I'm going to go ahead and take the next few minutes to just start to fill in the rest of these details. And so please go ahead and fill it in with as much as you want, or and just explore any ideas that are just important for you today. So I'll go ahead and stop talking for a little bit, and we can each just complete our own mind map self-portrait of how we're doing today. Let's see. I really found, and I mentioned a daily planner, this has become a really fun exercise before I start the daily planner, because this sort of allows for a free form evaluation of my day. And then, as I make notes, I start to realize some of the more important priorities of my day. And then as I shift to a daily planner, I have a much more structured idea of how I want to take a look at what needs to happen today. It's also nice as I've done these over the course of several months, I start to see ongoing tangents or, uh, you know, goals kind of emerge out of an exercise like this in really interesting ways. So that's another aspect that I found really, really great with this. And then along with, you know, like I mentioned with the other sketches, these being somewhat of a snapshot of where we're at today, I like to date these. Um, and then if you enjoy this, I have a whole sketchbook of containing these same journals. So I've just found them a really wonderful way to sort of kind of, uh, I don't know, evaluate and reflect on where I'm at on the start of my days. Making use of this, I've just found really, really helpful. So with that, we've now taken a look at a, a few different ways to use sketching in really simple ways to, you know, engage in wellness. And I love one thing that I think is wonderful about this is there's a kind of a tactile aspect of drawing, maybe similar to knitting, weeding or carving or sewing, maybe cooking food. You know, I love having something to engage with. You know, for example, there's breathing meditation apps that you can use on your phone, which are great and wonderful, but sometimes I just want a break, but I need a little extra help. So this type of combination of the tactile aspect of drawing along with breathing, I just think is really wonderful. And again, these exercises we did with sketching the hands as both a blind contour and then a contour drawing. I'd really recommend, if you're wanting a drawing moment or a moment where you feel like you kind of want to bring yourself into the present moment, taking a sketchbook into your backyard, doing the same exercise with a flower or anything you see in your surroundings can be a really wonderful way just to reorientate where you're at by making use of drawing. And then lastly, with our journaling, just another opportunity to reflect on where you're at while also making use of paper and pen.